Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India, India's voice to the world. I'm Anil Thomas. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. India launches first space-based observatory mission Aditya L1 to study the sun from Sriharikota this morning. Typhoon Saola makes landfall in South China's Guangdong province. Hundreds of flights cancelled, thousands of people evacuated. In Asia Cup cricket, India to face arch rivals Pakistan this afternoon in Sri Lanka's Palakkal. Indian Space Research Organisation has launched India's maiden solar mission Aditya L1 from the Satish Dhawan Space Centre in Sriharikota, Andhra Pradesh. Aditya L1 is carrying 7 different payloads to have a detailed study of the sun. Aditya L1 reached the intended low Earth orbit level after separation from the rocket PSLV C-57 1 hour and 3 minutes after ignition. After nearly 125 days, it is expected to reach the designated halo orbit around Range Part 1, which is about 1.5 million kilometers from the Earth. The entire team of ISRO scientists, including ISRO Chairman S. Somnath, expressed happiness at the maiden solar mission.
Congratulations. The Aditya L1 spacecraft has been injected in an elliptical orbit of 235 by 19,500 kilometers, which is intended very precisely by the PSLV, very unique mission mode here, with the upper stage of the PSLV taking 2 burn sequence for injecting the primary satellite for the first time. So I want to congratulate PSLV for such a very different mission approach today to do this mission of Aditya L1 to put it in the right orbit.
The whole world watched this with bated breath. It is indeed a sunshine moment for India. Now comes the moment of vindication, the moment of redeeming the pledge to the nation. And coming close on the heels of successful Chandrayaan-3 landing, the successful launch of Aditya L1 is also a testimony to the whole of science and a whole of nation approach which we have sought to adopt in our work culture.
Once this Aditya is commissioned, it will be an asset to the heliophysics of the country and even to the global scientific fraternity. And I take this opportunity to thank Chairman ISRO, Director URSC, former Director URSC, and all the center directors for their support and guidance for making this mission possible.
Well, for more updates, Jay Singh joins us from Sriharikota. Jay, good afternoon. How does one look at this sunshine moment that India enjoys?
Well, Anil Thomas, good afternoon. Actually, this is a real sunshine moment for the whole scientific fraternity and each and every one of the 140 billion people of India, because it was a precise launch, flawless launch. The starting itself is really excellent one, as witnessed, as testified by the scientific community here in Sriharikota, Satish Dhawan Space Center. There were several novel features in this launch. One is the tracking of the spacecraft path using a ship in the Indian Ocean, in the Bay of Bengal. And another thing is 2 times shut off and turn on of the 4th stage of the PSLV rocket, the liquid stage, which is the final stage. It was 2 times switched off and then switched on. Another very interesting feature is the coasting stage, in which without using any fuel, it was traveling for about 26 minutes to move ahead. with the same velocity of about more than 28,000 kilometers per hour. So
Okay.
it has reached an orbit, an elliptical orbit, low Earth orbit, yes.
Okay, Jay, how does one explain to the audience, in simple language, put it across in simple, how does this mission, how does it make a big bang, especially in the world of science?
Yes, actually this is one of the wonderful scientific missions after Chandrayaan-3. It is a back-to-back, scientific missions that the ISRO has undertaken. The best part of this is, the improvement in science. Actually, without any research and development in basic science, no society can move ahead. All the technological advancements that we are witnessing today are the fruits of, in one way or the other, the research on basic science. So this is another research on basic science, especially about the sun, which is providing us the heat and energy and the light, and also holding all the planets in the solar system together. Any better understanding of the sun will be good for the whole humanity, especially the scientific community. In that way, this is useful for us. And another thing is the solar flare and the mass ejection from the sun's corona is actually leading to several disruptions in the telecom network, even the power, grid network. So when we see the mass ejection in advance, we can take precautionary measures. There are movements, there are mechanisms for that, but having our own mechanism is an added advantage for us.
Okay, we'll leave it there. So we can expect India Surya Namaskar to happen in the next 125 days. Thank you. That was DD India's Jay there, giving us the latest, especially when it comes to that ISRO's latest launch, the Aditya L1 mission to the sun. Moving forward, let's take a look at some other stories making news across India today. The flood situations there in the Indian northeastern state of Assam remains grim, as over 3.2 lakh people are affected in around 18 districts of the state. Over 800 villages in 45 revenue circles have marooned under flood waters, and over 23,000 hectares of crop areas and over 1.9 lakh animals have been affected. 7 relief camps with over 2,000 inmates and 89 relief distribution centers were opened in Assam to serve the people affected by the floods. India's Prime Minister has praised the country's UPI instant payment system as it crossed the 10 billion monthly transaction mark for the first time in the month of August. Prime Minister said this is a testament to the adoption of digital progress by the people of India and a tribute to their skills. President Draupadi Murmu will give National Teachers Award this year to 75 teachers on Tuesday. India celebrates September 5th as National Teachers' Day to commemorate the birth of former President of India, Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan. India's Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal has expressed confidence that the country's textile industry can achieve the target of $100 billion worth of exports by the year 2030. The minister emphasized that India's textile companies can offer competitive products in terms of quality and cost. India will organize a world-class textile exhibition in New Delhi in February next year. Well, let's now talk about the mega build-up to the G20 summit in Delhi. Well, continuing our coverage of the G20 summit and our in-depth look at some of the member nation leaders taking part, those who make up the G20 club who are there and their road to leadership. Recep Tayyip Erdogan is the president of the Republic of Turkey. He was born in Istanbul in 1954 and graduated from the Marmara University. He entered politics at a young age and quickly moved up the ranks, becoming the provincial head of the Welfare Party in his early 30s. He became mayor of Istanbul and less than 10 years later established the Justice and Development Party known as the AK Party. He first became Prime Minister in 2003 and then president in 2014, and has remained in power ever since. When the G20 leaders meet, it's expected they'll discuss how richer nations can support developing countries grow their economies in a more sustainable way. But the UK is being accused of a lack of leadership on climate change, with a row over the expansion of a clean air zone in London, exposing fractures in British politics and casting doubts on their commitment to going green. Julia Chapman continues our coverage on the G20 priorities.
On the road to net zero, the UK has hit all its targets. But as its climate goals get more ambitious, they are becoming more elusive.
We've lost the urgency and the leadership from politicians to really push this forward. You need a kind of a stable political climate in order to concentrate on these really big issues like climate change, and we really haven't had that recently in the UK, and that hasn't helped. So what we need is to really sort of have more of a push from the top, so that there's, it's a clear priority in policies.
The UK is phasing out coal and has taken steps to generate greener electricity. And from 2030, Britain will ban the sale of new petrol and diesel cars. But that's not enough to bring the country to carbon neutrality. The country's old housing stock is in desperate need of insulation. And in order to hit net zero, gas boilers must be replaced with electric heat pumps. But so far, there's been no policy action to address those needs. And some environmental efforts have proven to be divisive. In a recent by-election in this neighbourhood of London, green issues were the vote decider. The ruling Conservative Party narrowly held on to this seat after campaigning against the expansion of ULEZ, the city's ultra-low emission zone. The vehement opposition to anti-pollution measures has worried some climate campaigners, who warned that politicians are sending the wrong message. Independent climate analysts say the country isn't acting decisively enough. The government has issued new licenses for oil and gas extraction in the North Sea, and it's approved a new coal plant to supply the steel industry. Despite those steps, the Prime Minister insists he's as committed as ever to reducing greenhouse gas emissions.
As the Independent Committee for Climate Change has acknowledged, we will need fossil fuels for the next few decades as we transition to a greener future. And during that period, it makes absolutely no sense to not invest in the resources we have here at home, to import foreign fossil fuels, not create jobs here, and import them at twice the carbon emissions as our local resources.
As the green transition shifts from industry to households, cost has come to the forefront of many minds. The government is under pressure to balance the health of the planet with the wealth of voters. Julia Chapman in London, reporting for DD India.
Well, still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Pressure mounts on junta to hand back power to a civilian government, even as military leader General Brice Oligui Nguema readies to be sworn in on Monday. Niger's new military rulers come down heavily on France for further blatant interference, rejecting the accusations. French President Emmanuel Macron reiterated support for ousted leader Mohamed Bazoum. Typhoon Saola makes a landfall in China's Guangdong.
This is the third such gathering where opposition parties under one umbrella have gathered to challenge Narendra Modi after nearly 10 years of unchallenged rule.
The unity or semblance of unity itself is an achievement, that there is been, from 26 to 28 parties and not 26 to 24 and 22 or 20 parties. So there is addition, no subtraction.
For Mamata Banerjee and Nitish Kumar or any other leader, Arvind Kejriwal, they can only hope that Congress gets enough for a formation of a non-BJP government, but not so much that their own ambitions are dashed.
Movement of leaders in a bloc does not mean movement of voters. So let us be very clear, because our voters...
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Anil Thomas. Let's take a brief look at all the happenings across the world. Typhoon Saola, the ninth typhoon of this year, has made a landfall in the city of Zhuhai in southern China's Guangdong district. With a maximum wind speed of 42 to 46 meters per second near its eye, it is expected to wane as it moves west by south along the coastline of Guangdong. Saola has now downgraded to a severe typhoon after its toughest blows to the south of Hong Kong. Saola is expected to bring strong gales and heavy rains to Guangdong's southern and coastal areas today and on Sunday. Large trees have been uprooted by strong winds that line the streets of Hong Kong. Scenes of the aftermath of the Typhoon Saola can be seen on the streets of Hong Kong this morning. The strong winds have blown off business signs in the bustling streets of the Asian financial hub. As per reports this morning, about 76 fallen trees and 12 cases of flooding have been confirmed. Both Hong Kong and Macau issued Signal 10, the highest storm level warning in their systems. The Hong Kong Observatory recorded wind gusts exceeding 100 kilometers per hour in various locations. The theory is that Hurricane Idalia, which swept through Florida on Tuesday, took away pink flamingos and pushed them further north than they intended to go. However, rare wild American flamingo sightings throughout Florida's west coast have been common in the aftermath of Hurricane Idalia. As Walt Disney said, after the rain, the sun will reappear. There is life. After the pain, the joy will still be here. On similar lines, this new development seems to be bringing joy to the residents of Florida after the storm shook the US state. Many towns in Pakistan occupied Jammu and Kashmir are witnessing historic protests against the government. The recent Kargil Chalo march of Gilgit-Baltistan residents were unprecedented in scale, where residents openly demanded to be merged with India. This is not the first time that protests of such a massive scale have taken place in Gilgit-Baltistan. It is now an open secret that the Pakistan government and Pakistan army are subjecting the people of Gilgit-Baltistan to worst forms of human rights violation for their desire to get separated from the rogue state and merge with India. The latest case, as the video went viral on social media platform X, formerly Twitter, for the many past days, shows the locals gathered in large numbers there in Shkardu to express their anger against Pakistani government, demanding immediate release of their religious leader. Protesting locals have reportedly threatened Pakistani government with civil war and have even said they would merge with India in case the demands are not met. Leader of a coup that this week overthrew Gabon's President Ali Bongo said that he wanted to avoid rushing into polls that repeat past mistakes. Pressure is mounting on the junta to hand back power to a civilian government. Military officers led by General Brice Oligui Nguema seized power on Wednesday, minutes after an announcement that Bongo had secured a third term in an election. The officers placed Bongo under house arrest and installed Nguema as the head of the state, ending the Bongo family's 56-year hold on power.
Our aim is to move as quickly as possible, quickly but surely. Moving as quickly as possible doesn't mean organizing elections in a rush, where we'll end up with the same mistakes, where the same people will continue in power, and it all comes back to the same thing. What we have just done with our colleagues is changing attitudes in Africa. And I've exchanged views with some of them, saying that it's you, the politicians, who are responsible.
Niger's new military rulers on Friday have accused France of further blatant interference after President Emmanuel Macron reiterated support for the West African nation's ousted leader, Mohamed Bazoum. French President Macron said on Friday that he spoke on a daily basis with Niger's ousted President Bazoum, who had been removed from power in a coup. Macron's comments were published on the Elysee social media platform and were made as he spoke about educational matters to reporters in southern France. A delegation from the National Defence College in the Indian capital New Delhi visited the Royal Saudi Armed Forces headquarters in Riyadh. The delegation was led by Major General Nagendra Singh, Senior Directing Staff of the NDC. The delegation was welcomed by the Chief of Staff at the RSAF. The delegation also visited the National Defence University in Riyadh. At the NDU, they received an overview of the university's activities and discussed with the university staff and faculty areas of potential collaboration between the two institutions. The delegation also had an interaction with the commander of the Royal Saudi Naval Forces. In addition to their military visits, the delegation also took the opportunity to learn about Saudi Arabia's cultural heritage. Well, you're watching DD India Live. Time now for sports updates. India versus Pakistan can be billed as an El Clasico of cricket. The two cricketing giants meeting on the cricketing field is just not about cricket, but also high on emotions. Stats do not matter in this Super Saturday clash, but what matters is the team that keeps its head cool on its shoulders will come out winners and all smiles. The two teams will clash not once or twice, but the fans can look forward to 3 clashes between the two sides in the 2023 edition of Asia Cup inside 15 days. Clouds have cast a grim shadow on the match at Palakkal in Sri Lanka. The Department of Meteorology has issued a rain red alert for a major part of the island, including Kandy, which is slated to host the match. If rain does not impact the game, fans will hope for an exciting game of cricket. So as things stand, the reports that's just coming in at this point of time from the ground, the drizzle there, which had happened a short while ago, has stopped. The covers are off.
India and Pakistan will renew their rivalry on Saturday when both the teams take on each other in a high-voltage clash in the third match of the Asia Cup in Kandy in Sri Lanka. India have played a lot of cricket heading into the Asia Cup. Rohit Sharma will lead the 18-member squad, with Sanju Samson being named as the travelling reserve. Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli's return bolstered the batting lineup. Both had a good rest while India played the T20 series against West Indies and Ireland. Jasprit Bumrah is also fit and back to lead the bowling attack. Prasidh Krishna is also back in the side after a long injury layoff. Mohammad Shami and Mohammad Siraj provide a lot of variety to the bowling attack. Kuldeep Yadav, the specialist spinner. Having chosen a full-strength squad, the Indian side is confident with the top order having shown consistent performances in the recent times. India will have the problem of choosing their best 11 given the condition they will be playing in. The battle will be between the Indian batters against the Pakistan pacers. India last played the T20 series against Ireland, which they won 2-0. Pakistan, on the other hand, started their Asia Cup by dismantling Nepal in the first match by mammoth 238 runs. Babar Azam is in supreme touch as he hit his 19th ODI turn. Pakistan recently played an ODI series against Afghanistan in which they clean swept them 3-0. Pakistan bowling is their strongest area and they can cause a lot of problems to India's batting-heavy lineup. Looking at the head-to-head record of India and Pakistan in the ODI Asia Cup, both the teams have clashed 13 times, with India having the upper hand with 7 wins, while Pakistan prevailed in 5 matches, with 1 match ending in no result. In the last 5 matches between both the teams at the ODI Asia Cup, India took supremacy with 4 wins, while they lost the only battle in 2014 by 1 wicket. India beat Pakistan by 9 wickets when both the sides met last time in the ODI Asia Cup. The two sides last played an ODI 4 years ago when they faced each other at the ICC World Cup in 2019, where India defeated Pakistan by 89 runs. Pakistan and India have given a lot of thrillers, and another battle is ready to unfold. Both the teams are placed in Group A along with Nepal. In Group B, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh and Afghanistan are placed. The top 2 teams in each group move on to the Super Fours, where they will play each other. If India and Pakistan end as the table toppers, they will clash again on the 10th September at the R. Premadasa Stadium in Colombo. Narayan Singh for DD India.
Well, that particular match, India versus Pakistan, building up. Do let us know on our Twitter handle. That's known as X there, @DD India Live, your favorite India-Pakistan moment. We look forward to having your views. Well, that's all we have in this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I am Anil Thomas from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.